Well, hello out there to anyone that's hiding out uh, or on right now or who finds it later, who knows when. I see that's, oh, hey, something awry. Uh, Thank you for stopping in. Even before I get started, he's making one of you viewers out there made a suggestion for a silent killer. Um, Not a movie, but TV. The Weeping Angels from Doctor Who. Especially the first one that introduced them, Blink. Yeah, those are the Weeping Angels from Doctor Who look like statues of angels, and they're aliens. I don't know if they're interdimensional or what they are, but they only move if you're not looking at them. So you blink, they move, and once they get a hold of you, they kill you. So yeah, that's a pretty scary silent monster right there. Um, and yeah, I hadn't even thought about them. So yeah, that's a great suggestion. I mean, I was thinking more along the lines of well, the obvious choice, at least to me, first thing came to my mind when I thought of this topic, which the thumbnail kind of shows, was Michael Myers from the Halloween series, or as I refer to him as Michael Myers 1.0 in the sort of links down below here if you want to go look at some more detailed opinions about the films, the Halloween films specifically. But Michael Myers, quote, "The Shape," again, silent, don't hear him coming, he never says a word, and then he stabs you. I mean, you can say the same thing about, oh my gosh, Jason Voorhees, except he's not exactly silent. He crashes through walls, he crashes through this and that. He's not exactly the sneaky type. He just doesn't speak. But Michael, he's, as I recall, he's pretty darn sneaky. At least in the first few films, Halloween 1, Halloween 2, the original John Carpenter ones from back in the day. Deborah Meyer, was that the producer he was working with? I forget now, but John Carpenter, writer of at least the first one and director of the two first Halloweens. Michael Myers in those was just a silent killer, relentless. Same thing in Halloween 4. And after Halloween 4, I pretend Halloween 5 doesn't exist, but I really enjoyed Halloween H2O, or Halloween 20, which was released at the 20th anniversary, or on the 20th anniversary of the original Halloween release. And it was a sequel to the original films. 20 years later, Michael is back, and Michael is going to finish what he started. That's his hope, at least. It ends up turning out quite differently, but it was a very enjoyable kind of wrap up to the series, in my opinion. And the link down below is to the Halloween canon, according to me, which are the Halloween films that I acknowledge exist, and the ones that I think people should check out and see. And I say Michael Myers 1.0 because when I wrote that article, I even made a note, or yeah, actually, when I wrote that post, I made a note that there was a reboot of the series coming out that was going to ignore everything after Halloween, the original Halloween film, and say that Michael had been in a asylum for the last 40 years, and now he was out, and he was going to finish off Laurie Strode like he wanted to when he was a kid. And that, I believe, has been the recent cycle of Halloween films. There's been 3 of them, if memory serves. And, okay, I don't know whether the light is going on and off and getting light and dark out there in the world, or if it's just my screen. But if it is, I do apologize. And now it's back. It's light again. I have no idea what's going on. But back to the topic at hand. Michael Myers, in the last 3 Halloween films, That Michael Myers, I would have to say, would be Halloween 1.1, since it is a direct sequel to the original Halloween, but it ignores everything that came after that first film. I have not seen those in recent years. I've been so swamped with so many other things that I just haven't gotten to the theaters much. If somebody wants to recommend those Halloweens to me, it's the Goofy Lights, not just you. Okay, yeah, and I have no idea what to do about that. It just flashes, and I don't understand why. Still learning YouTube, or it's the Halloween spirits getting in the way again. I think that'll be my excuse until October 31st. It's not my incompetence, it's Halloween spirits. All right, with that digression aside, the recent Halloween films, haven't seen them. I've heard good things. I just haven't gotten around to them. Actually, I think I saw the first one, the one that came out in 2018. I haven't seen the last couple. Well, I'm not even sure about the 2018 one. I think I saw it, but if anyone wants to tell me whether they're worth seeing or not, comment in the side chat here, or leave me a message down below if you're finding this later, and I'll go back and I'll check them out. But I just haven't gotten around to them. I understand that the one that's currently being in release ends the series, and I've seen I think it was Michael Medved or someone that commented that it's the film is mostly about Haddonfield than it is about Michael and Laurie, like the others have been. So it sounds like an interesting spin on things. I don't know, but yeah, let me know if I should check those out. So Halloween 1.1 would be the most recent ones from 2018 onward, and then of course there's also Halloween 2.0, which I saw the first one and hated every minute of it. Those are the Rob Zombie reboots, and saw the first one, don't recommend it. They completely missed the boat, I think, as far as what Michael Myers should be. So, yeah, and he's not. It's just dumb. Don't watch it. Another silent killer that I think very highly of is the Hammer horror Dracula, as portrayed by Christopher Lee in the 1950s. I think it was 57, about 56, 57 that came out, and then a couple of sequels where Dracula says very little, says nothing in a couple of them. The story is that Christopher Lee hated the dialogue that had been written for Dracula so much that he refused to deliver it, and that is why Dracula is completely silent in several of those Hammer films. Might even be all the ones that Lee is in. I will admit I don't quite remember, but the Hammer Dracula falls in the category of silent killer that is very cool. Actually, I think he was silent. I don't even think that I think he's even silent when Van Helsing finishes him off in the first Hammer Dracula. And yeah, no, I don't think that's a spoiler to say that Dracula gets killed at the end of the film, because 9 out of 10 Dracula movies end with Dracula being killed by the end of the film. And then 9 out of 10 Dracula movies start with Dracula coming back to life at the beginning of the film. Of the sequel, rather. 9 out of 10 sequels start with Dracula coming back to life at the beginning of the film. But at the end of the very first Hammer film, I'm trying to remember if I think Dracula even dies silently in that one, where has that just, to my mind, maybe it's because I first saw it when I was still a young kid, but even when I've watched the film in the years since, that final end where Van Helsing, the sun is coming up, Van Helsing is cornered by Dracula, and he hops up on this long table, runs along it, leaps into the air, grabs onto these large curtains at the end of this dining hall, tears them down as he sort of falls to the ground, and the sun comes pouring in, and Dracula gets turn to ash as a result. To my mind, that is still one of the best conclusions to a Dracula film ever. And I I don't recall. I don't think he's totally silent, but Dracula in the Dan Curtis Dracula uh, television version, I don't remember the Jack Palance Dracula having a whole lot of lines, but I'm not really sure whether he falls into the silent category or not. It's been too long since I've seen it. Now, I wish that the remake of the Dan Curtis film, the one that is horribly mislabeled as Bram Stoker's Dracula, the Francis Ford Coppola film, that one I wish Dracula had been silent. My least favorite Dracula film would be that one. Just everything about it is bad, and it's completely okay. I'm exaggerating. Not everything about it is bad. It's a beautiful picture. There are some chilling moments in it, but it's not Bram Stoker's Dracula. It's a remake of the Dan Curtis film. And I've never seen that acknowledged by the people involved with it, and they really should have. But I suppose you could argue that the Dan Curtis film owed a lot to the Dracula play, the stage version, but still nowhere near the degree that, quote, Bram Stoker's Dracula owes to the Dan Curtis version. And I'm way off the topic of silent killers. The third one that popped into my mind when I was thinking about this topic is a recent arrival on the scene. And it's one of those, when I came across it, it sparked my imagination. And one of these days, I will get around to writing some game relating to this. It's a character called the Silent Woman, the Smiling Woman, not the Silent Woman, the Smiling Woman. It is a character featured in a series of short films done by Alex Magana. They're here on YouTube, on his channel. I've linked below to reviews, or below, somewhere down there, to reviews of these films that I've done on Terror Titans, and you can watch them there as well. You just got to scroll to the end, to the last post, because they're in chronological order. And actually, finding this somewhere in the future, there will be a post that has links to all those reviews in the right order, so you can just click on them and read about and watch the Smiling Woman films in order. But that one, essentially, it's a series of films about a wandering curse or a ghost. It's not clear exactly who or what the Smiling Woman is, but she certainly does seem to, well, not seem to, she does leap from body to body, victim to victim, as the series progresses. And in my mind, at least up to this point, the final film in the series that I acknowledge existing is a Christmas special, Smiling Woman Christmas. I even think it's called. I don't recall, but it will be on. I'll write it up in December as part of the Christmas stuff at Terror Titans. But throughout the series, every film, she leaps into one or two different people or women. And the unifying factor is that they get this huge smile on their face, and they end up wearing a yellow dress. The yellow dress changes a bit from film to film, but the smile, the yellow dress, those are consistent. And she doesn't talk, but she texts. Somehow she mentally or spiritually or demonically projects questions and statements onto her future victims' cell phones. Um, it's a very modern silent killer, and I suppose you could debate: is it really a silent killer if she's texting? I don't know. To my mind, she is. Just because I'm still not completely not 100% in the texting world yet. You coworkers text me more often than not. They'll get monosyllabic responses back, although I've gotten better about sending complete sentences. Although most of them are like the smiling woman, because her first question that how she opens to most of her victims when she's approaching them is their cell phone gets a ping. They look at it, and on it is the message, "Do you like my yellow dress?" And then things rapidly get worse for the protagonist of the film. So, Smiling Woman, one of my current favorite silent killers. I'm hoping Magana does more with her. The last film, it felt a little bit like just not a betrayal, that's the wrong word for it, but it didn't seem like it fit quite with what had gone before. It kind of matches with the very kind of frightening end to, well, it depends on your point of view, the Christmas one. The way that ended, it could either be, oh wow, this is going to be very bad for a whole host of people, which actually is kind of reflected in the most recent one in this series that Magana did. It's clever. I just prefer the smiling woman as a one-on-one sort of thing. So I pretend that it doesn't exist. I mean, maybe I'll review it at some point, but I liked all of that he's done. I mean, the Smiling Woman series from Magana is one of my favorite things from him, and I like the vast majority of the things that he's done, as you can tell from all the ones that are showing up on the Terror Titans blog. In fact, he has a number of, now I'm thinking about this, he has a number of silent killers in his films. Another silent killer was coming up later this month. Both of the films in the series, they're called Selfies, or maybe just singular Selfie. There's two of them, and I think my cats are killing each other. They're not exactly being silent about it. Something's happening. Oh well, I'll be wrapping this up in a couple minutes, because now I'm just riffing and spinning off on other topics here. But yeah, Selfies, Magana silent killer. In fact, a lot of the short films that you'll find on YouTube or elsewhere, and that many that I've covered on Shades of not Shades of Grey, those are just straight up silent films. Everyone is silent in a lot of those films. We just don't hear them. They're not silent. Their lips are moving. Sounds are generally coming out. We just don't hear anything. But back to Magana, there is Selfie. That killer is silent. There is, no, I've got to say Don't Sleep, but that killer is not exactly silent. It does have a signature sound, so that doesn't count. But so silent killers that I recommend you check out to get yourself in the mood for Halloween. Michael Myers, that first Halloween movie, Halloween from 1978. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Halloween 2, direct sequel. Again, not quite as good as the original, but it has some good moments. And Michael Myers, iconic silent killer, check it out. Then there's Halloween 3, but that's a totally separate matter. Then Halloween 4, that would be the final Halloween film that you should ignore. Halloween 5, and I think there's even a Halloween 6, and one is worse than the other, if memory serves. Halloween H2O, again, It's a great wrap up to Michael Myers 1.0. So treat those, those 4 movies, check them out. Great. If you like slasher films, classic slasher films, those are great. The Hammer Draculas. You want to get Dracula, 1950, or it's called Horror of Dracula. I keep getting that wrong. Horror of Dracula is what it's most widely known as. Horror of Dracula, 1957 or 1956. Blanking on it right now. And not going to bother looking it up. Someone can correct me if they feel so inclined. But it's 57 or 56. Then there was a sequel where somebody else played Dracula. Peter Cushing is Van Helsing in these. Don't remember if Dracula was silent in that one. But there is Dracula Has Risen from the Grave. We got, again, a silent Dracula. Lee is Dracula again. And there is... yeah, there's also the modern day Draculas, where modern days in 1970s, where Dracula is revived in modern times, and a couple of descendants of Van Helsing end up fighting him. And I think he's also silent in those, but I do not recall, so I don't know whether they count or not. But definitely Horror of Dracula and Dracula Has Risen from the Grave. Nice silent killer movies. And then the Alex Magana's Smiling Woman series. Check it out, definitely. They're all short. They're 3 to 6, 7 minutes in length. So, and they give you a big bang for your time commitment. And of course, like Something Awry said, there are the Weeping Angels from the Doctor Who TV show, which I didn't even consider when I was thinking about doing something on this little topic. So anyhow, I'm at 22 minutes, so I'm going to wrap this up for tonight. And please leave a comment if you want to recommend some silent killers for me to check out. Or if you disagree with my estimation, want to correct my memory if I'm wrong on some of these things. But for now, I am out of here. I'll be back tomorrow night. I'm hoping to do one of these for every night of October, like I've said. So I hope you are having a good time, whether you find this tomorrow or a year from now. And on that note, I'm going to try to end this. Button 1, button 2, and we are clear.